peace generating, no gambling, live podcast. This is a no judgment zone. Your solution and an answer. I am Santos Jr., the world's #1 problem gambling interventionist out of Stockton, California, founder of the Soldiers of Self-Mastery movement. This is community, this is coaching, tools, and in particular, once again, this is a no judgment zone. 30 to 45 minutes of mind optimization and spirit recalibration. So get in, make sure your seatbelt is nice and tight buckled, turn down all distractions and destructions, and get ready to receive. Let's go for a ride. I'll see you on the inside. Hey, welcome guests, community members. We are just getting started here. Had to do a little bit of a different introduction because it could be a tongue twister until I memorize all of that. Anyhow, we are live. We're going to be here for about 30 to 45 minutes. I'm very grateful and I'm also humbled. It is a privilege to be here with you. I hope that if there's any guests on this broadcast, on this podcast tonight, hopefully you'll get a chance to ask a question. Hopefully you'll get a chance to find a solution to your dilemma, to your challenge, to your darkness, so that you can move into the light. Right? We don't want to be scorpions. We don't want to be snakes. We don't want to be wild broncos. Tame the monster inside. So welcome. Hey, Jim, welcome. I don't know who's going to be with us tonight here. Live a magnificent life. Hello. Welcome. And the camera is going to be open this evening, possibly for a little bit. Depends on who's joining us. We are broadcasting via Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. And we're gonna take a few minutes on this broadcast because I know that time goes by very quickly. There is a challenge. There is a gamble. There is a gamble that the gambler should be taking. And we're going to be discussing that topic a little bit. This not only applies to the gambler, the problem gambler, but it applies to anybody that is struggling with some kind of an addiction, a trauma, a limiting belief. There is a gamble that you should take a risk on. We're going to be talking about this a little bit here on this broadcast. So welcome. We got a proverb. And if you have a question, welcome, Keith. Welcome, MMFI. If you have a question, and I'm hoping that I will see Carol. I invited Carol out of TikTok, a friend, special friend that we connected there on TikTok. I hope that she'll be here on this broadcast. I would like to broadcast the TikTok, but I don't know if I can put them on the stream. I might be able to. Anyhow, Keith, welcome. Let me see. I got my journal out and ready to take notes. Man, you just fired me up. You're ready to take notes. Well, you know, once you get the journal bug inside you, it's hard to get rid of it. You might go a day or 2 or 3 days without journaling, but sooner or later that journal bug will hit you. There's just something about writing. There's something about that exercise. It's actually like the lost art of listening also. Journaling, writing, everything's like text, push button, little emojis and kind of stuff. Do we really take the time to rhyme, to write, to be polite? Even when we're flying a kite? No, I'm just joking. Emily, welcome. How do we cultivate willpower? Let's discuss that here. We're going to be talking about also the gamble. Hey, in order to take the right gamble, do you know what the right gamble for your life is? Since we're talking about gambling, do you know what the right gamble for your life is? We need to cultivate willpower for that. How do you cultivate willpower? Let's get into this. Who else? Let me see. Emily, hello, everyone. Hey, hey, thank you, Santos. It finally clicked. It's been 2 weeks so far, and your book, your videos, your emails, your words have helped me, and hopefully I can contribute more after I get myself back on top. Thank you for sharing that, Keith. I really appreciate you for doing this. You know, I want to say this because we're all challenged to a certain degree. I'm working on, listen, my back's broken, right? My back is broken. It works, but it hurts. And eventually, my goal is to move away from all of these gigs that I'm doing outside of my home. They're backbreakers sometimes. To be able to generate funds, not just through contributions. And I really appreciate this. I want to be able to earn my keep, right? Through coaching, through book sales, what have you, and coaching in particular, because it's kind of like my desire, my goal, my passion, something that is a dream to me. I never thought that I would ever be here and be a certified life coach. So this is my means of generating a livelihood. So I appreciate each and every one of you guys when you contribute and when you feel like you're giving into something that you've gotten something out of, right? You should pay for something if you feel like it's been a reward or benefit to you. And not necessarily have to give money all the time, right? You don't have to give money, but there's ways to give, to contribute, to really to give a thanks. So I thank you wholeheartedly, Keith. I know I went about that a little bit long ways. We do have a proverb we're gonna read. Let me see. Live, magnificent life. Thank you for that. By the way, if you want to come on the camera, if you want to come on the camera and you want to share or you got a specific question, I know this is a no judgment zone, but I am broadcasting via Facebook and Twitter and YouTube. So what's happening here a little bit is out kind of a public thing. Okay. It's not specific about your information because if you're not, people don't really know you on YouTube or whatever. But here's the thing. We are talking about taking a gamble, and I've taken a gamble on coming on this broadcast. I've taken a gamble on expressing my life, my vision, and my vision is permanent. No more gambling. That's my world. My desire is to build soldiers that have this mindset, or this crazy mindset of no gambling, a permanent fixture in life. I was thinking about this earlier. You know, what is the risk? What is the true gamble that the problem gambler or the businessman or anybody in general that's stuck with trauma and has a lot of heaviness, a lot of weight just bearing down, burden on you? What is the true gamble that you must take? You got to ask yourself, what is that gamble? And you know what it is. I believe you know what it is. When you hang around this community enough, you're going to begin to see what your true gamble really is. So I want to leave you with that. Okay, I got to read the proverb before we get to I see Jim is going to be coming on the camera in a minute here. Jim, we'll bring you on here. Galatians 5:13. This is very interesting. Let me see. Make sure it's Galatians 5:13. For brethren, it says, you have been called unto liberty. Only use not liberty for an occasion to the flesh. And we all fall short. Galatians 5:13. Let me mute. Echo. What is going on here? Are we coming through? We okay?
I can hear you, Santos.
Okay, right on. There. For brethren, you have been called unto liberty. Only use not your liberty for an occasion to the flesh. I'll be the first one to say on this broadcast that I'm a full-fledged sinner. The word perfection, in fact, I want to just get away from that word because it's a cliche that's very destructive. We shouldn't even use it. Well, I'm not perfect. Everybody uses that all the time. We need to just get rid of that. What we need to be saying is, I'm working on getting better. I'm working on advancing. I'm working on progressing from where I am with what I have. I'm working on progressing from where I am with what I have. By love, serve one another, for all the law is fulfilled in this one word, even in this, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. Oh, Santos, that means I got to love you. I got to love my neighbor and I got to love everybody. I don't know what love means to you exactly in your situation. I just know that the law says, love thy neighbor. Love thy neighbor as you love yourself. We got to take care of ourselves. And apparently, if we're not loving our neighbor, it's probably because we're not really taking good care of ourselves. So, Jim, we're going to give Jim the opportunity to come on. Once again, time is going by very quickly. Um, and hey, Wilson, welcome. So, Jim, let me see. Jim, you want to go ahead and share? Let me see if we can put you here in the limelight. Where are we? The books. The book's there in front of you. We can't move the book. So, how do you feel? What is the gamble? I mean, we all took a gamble on coming on this broadcast. There's been like a few people that have come in, come off. It's a gamble to come on this broad. Why is it a gamble? Because who knows? I might shock somebody with what I'm saying, or I might shock them into motivation, and maybe somebody doesn't want to be motivated or inspired. So I'm out of here, man. I can't listen to this wild, crazy Puerto Rican rant on for 30 minutes.
Yeah. I mean, you can turn the question around there, Santos. What if we don't gamble on ourselves? What if we don't, gamble the time here to really think about our lives, to figure out how we can improve our lives? What if we don't gamble that time? It's like I'm going to throw my chips on Sunday night, 6:30. You know, what if I don't do that? Where's my life going to be if I keep on doing this? If I don't do
What if I go to the casino instead? What if I, go to the bar? What if I put my chips there? Every
Exactly.
week, every week. What happened? If I don't gamble on myself, I guess you can go and think about life as it's a risk, right? Hey, it's a risk, right? But I mean, I guess you have the opportunity, give it a go, as Jim Rohn says, right? Give it a go. You know,
Yeah.
it's risky investing, but he said, it's risky not investing. Imagine all the money that you would have lost if you never invested in like, I don't know, stocks, education, improving yourself, investing, you know? Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
like, yeah, I mean, like, we can pat ourselves on the back and say, you know what, I made a lot of good choices in my life. I'm glad I took that gamble of finishing high school. I'm glad I gambled my time. I put my chips on the military. I spent my time in the military. You know, I learned a lot of skills there. I'm glad I won. I won. I took a risk. You know, I mean, any could have thing could have happened. Could have got killed. You know, I mean, it could have happened. Yeah, but you know what? I weigh the costs, right? Cost benefit analysis, right? It's like, there could be risk, but what are the rewards? What are the possible rewards? I mean, I'm not talking about rolling the dice. Flipping a coin. Heads. You know,
Yeah.
you win, tails, you die. I don't know. I mean, we're not talking about that. We're not talking about tossing the dice. It's all about spending time. Trying to figure out how you can improve yourself. The loss could be your self-esteem, maybe. It's like, oh, I'm so stupid, I can't do anything. So dumb. That could be something in your mind, that you're hanging on to. A big risk could be a big risk, but what if we change that mindset? What if we shrink that down? And so, I'm not going to say I'm stupid.
Mhm.
I'm not going to say I'm a loser. I'm not going to talk like that to myself. What happens to the odds, man, when you start taking a risk on yourself? Oh my gosh, it's like, hey, I think I'm gonna go for it. You know?
Yeah. If we're all gonna die.
Yep.
Nobody wants to talk about that one, right? Well, I remind myself sometimes when I'm going through difficulties, when I've got a challenge or something unusual shows up, and you know what, we want it easy, but it's just easy is not really healthy. There's time for comfort. There is time for comfort. I mean, you can toil, 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 and there has a time, like the Bible says. The Bible says we plant a seed, there's water, there's and it grows. Here's the thing that I really want us to get at and think about. There's a gamble that we should be taking, or we shouldn't be taking a gamble, right? Which gamble shouldn't we be taking? Which one should we be taking? We're going to die. Tomorrow's not promised. And I believe that if we have this perspective of death correctly, it'll help us in making the proper gambles in life. But if we just throw it all away and forget, I don't want to talk about, we live in the valley of the shadow of death. So you mentioned that, we're going to die. You mentioned that in what you were saying. We're going to die. We're going to go one day. We should live like we're going to die tomorrow, but we should also live like we're going to live for a lifetime. You should have that both balance in your mindset.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, like I worked at a nursing home. I did activities with, people with Alzheimer's, long-term care, when I was about 16, 17 years old, 18. And, I think about that. It's like, life passes by quick. Okay, someday I'm going to probably be there. What I want to do with my life, because it's kind of moving on quick, right? And I have a choice. I have a choice right now to go in any direction I want. You know, I can choose. I guess choosing, Santos, I guess, is a gamble, right? Choosing where to
Yeah.
go is a gamble, right?
Yeah.
And you have to kind of weigh the pros and cons, right? Um, but I guess in any choice that you make, you stack the odds in your favor when you do things like positive self-talk, when you start looking at yourself in a more positive way, not beating yourself up, not looking at the negativity. um I mean, that mindset is very, very important. you know I mean, yeah, we make a lot of mistakes, we screw up, I mean, yeah, lose
It's
money.
precious, especially today. That the mindset that is developing, the mindset that is in tune within itself, the mindset that is in tune with its surroundings. The more that you fine tune your inner being, the more you will fine tune your surroundings, the better you will negotiate in life.
Mhm.
And this is a challenge. It's not difficult. It's probably difficult to start, but once you get this thing going, it's amazing what really happens. You just begin to see a whole different reality.
Yeah.
I was Jim and members here. By the way, a shout out to Carol. Thank you for joining. I was so I was so bogged down by my trauma and by limiting beliefs. I used to have some really strange beliefs about myself, and I had to relabel. I took a gamble. I remember I took a gamble on self talk, and I still haven't mastered it 100%. And you're talking about this. When you begin to change the way you speak, when you begin to really learn about communication with yourself and what's going on with other people, the dialogue that you're having with people, and you fine tune, it's a gamble. You trip up. Sometimes you say the wrong things, but you have to catch yourself over and over until you begin perfecting what it is that you want. I remember people used to laugh at me. I would go to work and start talking differently about myself. And I remember this one girl, she used to say, "Who do you think you are? You think you're better than us talking that way?" And a couple times I almost got into, some altercations because of this. And I used to be depressed. I would go home and I would listen to Dr. Maxwell Maltz or Anthony Robbins. I was reading the Bible and listening to Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. And I say, I'm going to try this for 30 days. I'm going to try this for 2 weeks. I'm going to gamble. I'm going to take the gamble on this. And sometimes I would be humiliated, but I didn't give up. And I gambled through those times because you know what? When you're humiliated, when you're going through difficult times, you look for escapes. That's what we did when we were children. I rolled the dice with the scraggly men in the neighborhood when things weren't going well at home. That was my escape as a 12-year-old. That's what I thought was good for my mind. So we take these gambles, and there's a gamble that you must take. There is a gamble that you must take. The real gamble is taking the gamble on redirecting your direction forward into a life of less pain, less stress, less fight, less fight in this night. And let's fight in this night, but you'll have less fight. Does that make sense, Jim? Less fight in the night. I mean, we don't.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I think about let's say you know a casino, right? What does a casino have? The odds stacked in its favor, right? The odds stacked in its favor. The casino has the edge, right? But guess what? We can stack the odds in our favor, with self talk, perspective, point of view. I remember, I don't know if you remember Charlie Sheen when he was kind of, blowing up after Two and a Half Men. I mean, he was kind of acting kind of wacky. But
Yeah.
one thing that stuck with me, I mean, he kept on saying this winning, winning. I'm going to win in every moment, every moment. And I thought
Winning.
that was pretty cool because he was able to, see every single thing he can find a win. He can find a win. Whatever happens, I learned from this. I can use this, and I thought that was pretty cool. That's stacking the odds in his favor as far as the way he sees life, right? How you see life and how you
Yeah.
move forward, right? It gives you kind of like the confidence, right? It gives you the confidence to take that bet on that direction that you want to go in, right? So I mean, I think, that kind of language, that kind of self-talk, confidence, power talk, you know, pay attention, I think. You got to pay attention. Pay attention
Yeah.
to the things that help you, right? Pay attention to the things, I mean, positive stuff, the wins, right? You know, and keep track. Keep track of, what you're doing each day. Journal, right? Make little mini goals, micro goals, and keep
Yeah.
track. See how it's going. Reflect on it, right?
You
And
know,
just holy cow, it's working.
that's, yeah, reflecting on, and speaking about reflecting, you, you know, uh, man, I recall my mind was really, um, I was suicidal, and I still battle depression sometimes. I don't go into depression, but I can feel the cloud coming, and I defeat it immediately. There was times where I could go into a depression for 3 or 4 days or a week, and I remember those times. But I remember now as I go back, when I look at self-talk, I look at transformational conversation, which is something that I do during coaching. I focus on mind, mouth, power, congruency, mirror talk, journaling, and all of these things. It's like my mind has even gotten smarter. It feels like my mind. Sometimes I feel like my mind just goes and I can't contain it. I get so many ideas in so many different directions. It's hard. And I remember you listening to Earl Nightingale. He said, this was years ago. I started listening to him, and he said, the ideas will come. Take time, take 30 days, go to the paper, go to the pad. And I had a hard time with all that. Had a hard time believing it because I was struggling with all of these other. I was gambling with the wrong things. Nevertheless, I took a chance and I listened to these people, and I practiced. That's what I did. I practiced, and I was able to convince myself. And when I started feeling that convincing of myself, I said, something's going on. Then I realized how the mind really works. Your mind, Our minds are being manipulated. We are being brainwashed. We are being tricked in many, many different ways that we're not even aware of. As a matter of fact, 95% of your shopping is done through your unconscious thinking. 95%. There was a study done, I believe it was by Harvard, and they found that people's are not most people think, well, I'm a rational buyer. I think before I'm buying. No, 95% of your purchases are done subconsciously. And I thought, that's crazy because that's like somebody's manipulating us to buy the things that we think we need. And we buy these things. And then when you really think about it, we're not as in control as we can be
Mhm.
when you choose to do it. Now,
Yeah.
I've ranted on for so long here. We've got a few more minutes. I'm going to let Jim. It looks like uh, if you want to share right now, Jim, and hit
Okay.
on
Yeah.
that
So I
note.
mean, yeah. I mean, if you don't have a plan, you're going to fall into other people's plans, right? If you don't have a plan, you're going to fall into other people's plans, like going to the supermarket, right? I mean, if you don't have a shopping list, if you don't have a goal, right? You're going to be enticed
Exactly.
by the Oreo cookies and the what is it? What else is there? The not Dorito chips and the M&Ms
Sodas,
on the way, right? Sodas on the way, right? Oh, this looks good. That looks good. You know, I
pies.
mean, right? And that's. I mean, it's kind of funny. It's almost like I think about chaos and entropy. I remember in physics, there's like the second law of thermodynamics. Chaos increases. you know, and the
Yeah.
funny thing about life is life
Yeah.
actually it organizes stuff, but but that's the purpose of life. Life brings things together. I think that's our purpose, right? Taking chaos, and organizing to something great, something beautiful, right? Something useful, right? But if
Yeah.
we just let life, if we just let life take a hold of us, right, it's gonna turn our lives into chaos. You know what I mean? Like what you eat, I guess, or like going to the casino, right? Emptying your pockets, or going, it's like trying to feel good, right? It's gonna mess up your liver, all that kind of bad stuff, right? So I
Oh,
mean, it's like you got to choose, right? Do I want to bust into life, or do I want life to bust into me? Something's gonna get wrecked, and I don't want to be wrecked. I guess I want to do the wrecking. I want to do the changing. I want to do the breaking to build. I guess, right? I mean,
yeah.
that's just
And
a
you have to
choice.
believe that. You have to, you have to get into that. You have to get into that confession. We say we're going to do something, right? I'm going to, I'm going to. No. Or let me see. I should. We say I should, right? Or I was
Mhm,
going to. What we need to be saying is, I'm going to do this.
mhm.
I'm going to do this, especially if you know that it's something that's going to help you. I mean, we're all going to pass. We're all going to pass. And what if you might feel that maybe it's too late for you? I'm 55. Somebody was telling me the other day, oh, I just got about another, somebody was telling me the other day at 53, I just got another 20 years. So whatever happens, happens. If he has 20 years, I don't know if that person's going to be here for 20 years. I don't know if I'm going to be here tomorrow. But I do know this, that what I've created, the legacy that I've created so far will go on and it will impact lives. Now, does that make me greater? No, it just makes me fulfilled in my mission. So each and every one of us has a legacy. We've got some gift, we've got something that we want to leave behind, that we want to do. And if you're here on this broadcast, I'm speaking to you. You need to take a gamble. There's a gamble that you need to be taking before it's too late. Like that scratch on the board. Anyhow, we're coming down to the wire here. So we know, your gamble is different than my gamble, but you know what it is. And if you're not taking action, it could be you're letting others, will you allow others to distract you? right? Feel like you can't fully win. Maybe you're not taking your gamble because you don't feel like you can fully win. Join the boat. I didn't feel like I could fully win. I said, man, I'm going to go swimming. I'm going to get away from this problem gambling because problem, like you said earlier, Jim, problem gambling took a chunk out of my ass. Now I'm walking
Right.
around with a dimple. No,
Mhm.
but it feels that way, and that's the way it is. So if your gambling is a problem, ask right now, what is this reward for this gamble? What is this reward for this gamble that you're taking? What is the reward for your gamble if you're willing to take the gamble that you know you should be taking to redirect your life? As I said earlier, a life of less pain, a life of less stress, a less fight in this night. We don't want to fight more in this night, right? We want to fight less. We want to be wise. We want to be more wise. So, how do I jump with such little belief? Here's my call to action. Decide today that you will not let something or others persuade you to stay in your dungeon, your dark room that's infested with your life destroyers. It's a decision. Think, sit, one idea, one motivation is all you need. That's it. If I can be of service to support your goal achievement, to keep optimism fresh and focus in your life, if you need something like that, coaching is available. All right. SciTech me ASAP. I'll be here to help you out. That's my call to action. I'm going to give Jim the last words, and I'm also going to allow Nicola out of Chicago to share. He's got some insights here or a question. So hopefully we won't get any echoes. Um,
Can
Here,
you
go
guys
ahead,
hear
Nick.
me? Can you hear
We
me
can
all
hear
right?
you.
Okay,
We can
great.
hear you. Yeah.
Uh, I just thought that was interesting what you mentioned about what you guys were talking about, which I had to come on and just put my 2 cents in. Could it be that the goals you were intended to achieve, gambling is preventing you from reaching your true passion or accessing what Santos you have so well have access, that power and ability to change people's lives? I feel like we're all given a power and ability by God to do something special on this earth. Santos has been able to tap into that, but what if gambling is preventing you, who's listening right now, preventing you from tapping into that special power? How you doing, Jim? How you doing,
Hey,
Santos? Good to
hey
see you
there.
guys. So that's an interesting philosophy you guys are talking about, and I just had to share that idea. And also, I had a couple questions for you guys about gambling, and one of them was how has family how has family affected the gambling for you, and has family played a part somehow in your childhood, or have you reflected on your own childhood, and how has family maybe steered you possibly into gambling, or was it more of a social thing for both of you guys when you were gambling?
Okay. Well, I mean, look, I'm not going to blame my mom, but I know my mom, I just kind of think back and I think my mom, nice person, very, very afraid. Oh, you need to, go to the doctors. Oh, don't drive on the street. There's crazy drivers. And I just kind of noticed that, that's the kind of way she was, having a lot of fear. And I think that kind of was ingrained in me, right? And, when you have and anxiety, it's like, oh, don't do this, don't do that, right? And this kind of goes back to what we were talking about. It's like not taking action, not taking that gamble on yourself, not doing certain things because of fear that you're going to lose, you're going to waste your time, or, you're going to, damage relationships or whatever, you're going to fail, and that's something that I thought about. And yeah, family can affect you in ways. I mean, like, my parents did the best they could. They did the best. I don't blame them. But it's good to kind of reflect on what happened, and where's the root cause of our behaviors and our feelings, and what those feelings direct us to. Where do those feelings put the chips, right, in our lives, you know and it could be something that's not good, right? So yeah, yeah, family can have an effect.
The uh, the thing about this is also, see, you have to do this alone, and that's where it's really hard for people. Even though you can be part of this community, you can get my book, we can even coach eventually, you have to decide within yourself what is the gamble. And that's a very lonely place for most people. Most people just don't have the faith, they don't have the belief. That's why it's good to belong to a tribe where others can, their energy can spill over into your life. And that's the goal about these communities, so that you can build your faith. It's not about, people talk about follow the leaders, and I have so many followers and this and that. And I sure, it's great that I have a community. I'm not looking for followers. I'm looking to help build you. See, I'm already free. I'm working on my shit. I'm working on my mindset. And I know how hard it is. I know how difficult it is. But my job is to be here as a mechanic, as a coach, as a doctor, as a psychiatrist, to help you achieve it. We're here for a reason. You have to decide alone. And sometimes, like I said this in many broadcasts, you have to let people go. That's where it hurts, because you're all alone. Even family, sometimes you have to cut off, say enough is enough, and say, you know what? If you have to determine what your gamble is, if they're not leading you in the right direction, if they're a hindrance, don't shun them completely. There's a way. That's why we have to be wise as serpents and harmless as doves in this dark world that we live in. We don't want to be offending people, even though we do. We don't want to go around offending people, because there's people out there that will offend you real quickly. They won't even think, they don't even know. We have to be more wise about it, but ultimately it's an internal decision that's dark and lonely. And unless you make it by yourself, it won't ever happen. It won't ever happen. You have to do this, ultimately for yourself, if that makes sense. And another thing is, if it wasn't for our parents, I mean, I look back at my parents did a horrible job. I'm very grateful that I can undo a lot of what they've done. And a lot of what they've done, I had to forgive myself and forgive them. But it's really neat because I can work through all of that. Jim, you were talking about the chaos. Carol was talking about the chaos. We got to have some kind of chaos. It's never going to be perfect. The perfection will come one day. The utopia will come one day. I believe there'll be eternal life. I believe that wholeheartedly. But on this side, man, we're going to struggle every single day. And that's where, that's where we find ourselves. That's where you find your true strength, is in the battle, is in the problem that you're in. And if you can see your problem, and if you're here in this community, you are blessed, my friend, because your eyes and your ears are being opened to something. May not have to do anything with gambling, but it's happening in your life. And I'm grateful that you're here, because you inspire me. By the way, I'm done. I've already said my call to action. The gambling, the gambling program. The gambling is over. The solutions and answers is going to be over here in just a minute. I'm going to give Nick, if you want to share something else, Jim, but I'm done. I want to thank everybody before I give you guys the opportunity. Laura, Keith, live a magnificent life. Mark, Carol, I really appreciate our friend. A hearty welcome to Carol from TikTok. She's working on that straight and narrow also, I believe. I don't know her personal situation, but we all have our challenges. And again, I'll be the first one to say that I'm a full-fledged sinner. I don't have it all together, but I'm going to work, and I'm going to be here as long as I have breath. I'll be here every Sunday at 5:30 or 6:30 or 7, whatever time. I'll try to advertise it before it happens, but I'll be here for you. Hopefully I can support you. Hopefully you can support me, and we can all work together as a team, or a community, better said. Let me see who else. Keith. There's a few others. Spec or Spence. Let me see. Spencemer. When Santos said every time you get me bleed a bit is a great analogy. Yes, we bleed. So thank you for hanging out, Keith. I really appreciate you guys supporting. Wilson and Emily. Thank you, Emily, for hanging out. Good to see you. Keep coming back. And so, Nick, I'll leave you with
Yes,
that.
sir. I'd
And
like to well, I know we spoke briefly, Santos, but we're starting a podcast on current events. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, it's kind of quiet. It's pretty
put
low.
the mic up.
Yeah,
How
maybe the
about
microphone
Closer.
close.
Yeah.
how about now? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, a little bit. Go ahead. It's
How about
Yeah, that
okay?
one.
that
That one.
that's
Yeah,
That one.
better.
can you hear me
That,
okay now?
yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I just want to say thank you again for the platform, Santos. We're starting a podcast on our own. It's like a political current event podcast on life every Wednesday nights, 8 p.m. I wanted to see if you wanted to come on, or Jim, if you guys, any one of you guys wanted to come on. The first episode was going to be about problem gambling, and we'd love to have either one of you guys on the show. Um,
So it's
a
Wednesday.
Wednesday
What
night,
time?
Wednesday, 8 p.m. And the name of
Will
the
you send?
channel is, you guys are going to love the name of the channel, by the way. It's called Knowledge is Bliss.
Knowledge is
Um,
bliss.
yeah,
Well, see, you
so
got to
like,
send me a link, though, Nick. You got
I
to send me
will.
a link because you know what? Unless we coordinate all of these things, man, it's like we bypass each other. So if you
Sure.
send me a
No,
link
I don't.
one time,
Yeah, I'll send you a link, and if Jim's interested too, I can send him as well. If you guys are interested, we would love to interview you guys, and you can, give your knowledge on gambling, and we can help maybe some more people as well at the same time. But I just want to say, whoever's struggling out there with gambling, there's a way out of it. Just take the first step. The first step is the hardest. It always is. And just when you think there's no end or that there's no hope, if you just come back to, avenues like Santos's channel and the videos and what Jim talks about, they're a little bit older and they've been through it. I'm a little bit younger and I'm still figuring it out myself. And like Santos says, every day we're battling. We're all soldiers of Santos. Santos is soldiers, and we're
well,
all
I'm
out there
just
fighting the war.
to be
So
here. Thank you. I
yeah,
appreciate sharing, Nick. Yeah, send me the info. Best way to get a
I
hold of
will.
me is like I say, SciTech. I'm on social medias, but sometimes I don't even check those. The best way to get
Okay.
a hold of me is through SciTech. Stay in touch,
Okay.
email communication. And by the way, we send those out during the week, a couple of them, short little faith builders. I would encourage you to read, share, and if you have a question, you can get back to me. I will respond to you. I'm here for your support. There's no excuse. If you need someone, if you need a coach, if you need an ally, even listen, just email me and I'll respond back to you and I'll give you whatever it is that I feel that would help you as long as you give me what would help me help you. That's what coaching is all about. Because I can't help you if I don't really know what your goal is. I had an individual come on my 45 session, and I specifically asked, "What is your goal?" We have 45 minutes. We're going to do a coaching session. I want to help you as much as possible. Well, he didn't have a specific goal, so we're kind of all over the place. Best thing to do is have a goal and then shoot and go from there. Saves time, saves money, saves maybe a little bit of stress. All right, my friends. Jim, any last
Yeah,
words?
just keeping in tune with the channel. You know, figure out how to keep the odds in your favor. How to stack the odds in your favor. Ask those questions to yourself. Figure out where you want to go and how do I stack the odds in my favor so that I can get to a better place long term, right? You want to go to a better place, a more peaceful place, a happier place. It's not in the casino. It's not in the bar. It's not with the drugs. All that risk behavior. It's not that. You remember the pain. You said, I want a better life. How do I stack the odds in my favor? You know, that's important. And just keep on looking for good ideas to plant those seeds in your mind, right? so that you'll be moving in the right direction.
Exactly, in the right direction, moving in the right direction. So, with that said, well, it looks like the numbers are climbing up. Guests, community members, you need to be here on time, and I'll do my best to advertise. So, with that said, peace through strength. I'll see you at the top on the inside on my next one. Remember to make every day super fantastic, terrific, and over the top in spite of and because of. Jim, thank you. Nick, thank you. I'll be safe.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you,
Have a
Santos.
great
Thank you,
night.
Nick. Good
Take
night.
care, Jim. Good night.
Take care.